apart from the diversity that we see among the tribes in India, there's another element along which we see diversity. In India, we also see people practicing different religions, right? People practice different faith. Now, again, this is one of those features that is there in other places as well. People follow different religion world over. But what is unique in the Indian context is the number of religious practices people follow, right? There are so many religions which are there in India. And again, within these religions also there is diversity. So what we will do now is we will see what are the different kinds of religious faith which people adhere to in the Indian context. But before that, a very fundamental question. What is religion? Do we understand religion? In fact, what I would suggest is maybe you should take a break of 30 seconds or 60 seconds and try to reflect, try to think what religion is. You might be following a particular religion. So what does that mean to you? Or you might not be following a religion, but people around you follow it. So what is the consequence of that? Why are people following religion? What are the functions of religion? Right? Maybe take a pause of 60 seconds and reflect about it. I hope you took a pause, and welcome back if you did take a pause. So on the screen you can see the definition of religion. We'll come to it. So what we will do is in the next few minutes we'll look at the definition of religion. We'll try to understand the meaning of religion. Apart from that, we will look at the extent of religious diversity in India. Religions, again, they are all social groupings. We'll try to find out how different religions fare in terms of different socio-economic indicators. And yes, with that we will conclude the religion part, and then we will move to the next part, that is social classes. We are going to discuss religion and the impacts of religion on society in much details. Right? We're going to do this in a separate session. There is one recording which talks about religion, secularism, communalism, fundamentalism, revivalism, relation between religion and science. Right? So there is going to be a separate discussion on that. So if you have more questions, you can always refer to that particular recording. Here we are just going to touch what is a religion and what is the extent of religious diversity in India. So what is religion? What is the definition of religion? Now, when you think about religion, just think about what are the different components. If you are someone who is religious, what all you do? One thing is you might have certain kind of belief. Second thing is you might be carrying out different kinds of practices. Right? Maybe you're going to the temple, you're going to the church. Different kinds of festivals are there. You're trying to celebrate that. And in fact, it does not require you to be religious to celebrate festivals. Even if you're not religious, you can celebrate festivals for the fun of it. But what I'm trying to say here is religion also involves different kinds of practices. So religion has both these components, belief as well as practices. It is a system of belief and practices. But all these beliefs and practices are related to what? They're all related to things which are considered sacred. In any religion, certain kind of things are considered to be sacred. It might be a book, it might be some other object. Certain kinds of things are considered sacred. They on their own might not have exceptional qualities, but people who follow that religion, they give it utmost importance. They create different kinds of rules, regulations around it. These kind of sacred objects are set apart. They're forbidden. It's not easy to access these things. There will be multiple rules, regulations around it. If you are not following the rules, regulations, then there can be some consequences. For example, if you're going into a place of worship, again, within a place of worship, there are things which are considered sacred. So you have to follow the rules, regulations around it. For example, you might be asked to remove the footwear when you're entering these places of worship. Most of the places of worship, they have these rules, regulations. There might be some rules, regulations around what kind of attire you can wear, whether you should cover your head. So these are all rules, regulations. You are supposed to maintain certain amount of decorum in these places of worship. Who has created these rules? Again, that institution, religion itself has created these rules, regulations, and if you're not following it, there will be consequences. So any religion you think of, there is something which is considered sacred. The sacred can be God, the sacred can be a book, the sacred can be a guru, teacher, leader. Around that sacred, rules, regulations are there. And religion is about both beliefs and practices. Apart from this, religion leads to creation of communities, single moral communities. One religion is a single moral community. People who are part of that religion, they are forming a community. They think that they have something in common. They can relate to one another. And another set of people who are part of one religion, again, they think they have something in common. So they are again another moral community. And people who are part of that one community, they will adhere to different kinds of rules and regulations which is meant for that religion, or the religion has created those rules and regulations and they will follow that, they will adhere to that. So, religion is not only about beliefs, it is also about practices. Different kinds of things that people do, right? Different kind of rituals that are carried out, they're all practices. Religion leads to creation of this moral community. Religion is about sacred. Religion is about different kinds of rules and regulations related to the sacred. So this is what religion is. And keep in mind that religion is on the basis of faith. It is on the basis of belief, right? There is faith. People believe that if they worship to this particular sacred entity, they will get something in return. There is this belief element here. So now the question is, what are the different religions in the Indian context? How many people follow these religions? On the screen you can see a table. These are all some of the predominant religious groups in India, religions in India, and people follow these religions. And over time you can see what proportion of people are following which religion. I have data till 2011. These are all census data, by the way, right? After that we haven't had a census, so I don't have newer data because census last time was conducted in 2011. So you can see that in India, almost 80% of the population, they follow Hinduism. Somewhere around 14% follow Islam, Christianity 2.3%, Sikhism 1.7%. And you can notice that from 1950s to till now, right, the proportion of Christians, the proportion of Sikhs, it has remained more or less same. It has not changed. Muslim population has gradually increased over a period of time. Hindu population has, as proportion to the total population, has slightly declined. But again, when we will be studying the chapter on population, there is one session on population as well, we will realize, right, how these changes are there. And one interesting point is, for all these religious communities, the population growth rate has been declining. Right? For Hindus, it is declining. For Muslims also, the population growth rate has been declining. If you look at the decadal population growth rate, if you compare the population growth rate of Muslims in 2000s as compared to 1990s, as compared to 1980s, there has again been a decline. So this is how the proportion looks like. But keep one thing in mind, that among Hindus, right, within Hindus also there will be different kinds of diversity. Right? The different kinds of practices within Hinduism also varies, right, to the length and breadth of the country. Among Muslims also, overall, some 14% are Muslims, but among Muslims also there will be some amount of diversity where they will also be having different sects in between. So the point is, again, these are larger numbers, but if you now look at the nuances, right, you will find that within all these broader religious groups also, there is massive amount of diversity throughout the length and breadth of the country. The practices vary from one place to another. Now let's look at the performance of religious groups, or how these religious groups fare in terms of different socio-economic indicators. Right? So this is the proportion in the population. This is the population growth rate, right, overall. If you look at the decadal growth rate, right, what is the decadal growth rate? So For Hindus, it was around 16, 17%. For Muslims, it was 24.6%. Christians, 15.5%. Sikhs, Buddhists, Jains, the decadal population growth rate is way less. Now, keep one thing in mind. The point that I was just mentioning some time back. This is the population growth rate as per the latest census. But these numbers are less as compared to the previous decades. For Muslims, for Hindus, for all communities. Right? So, in the previous decades, the population growth rate was way more. It is going down. Right? So, our population overall growth rate is declining, as well as different religious groups. Their population growth rate is also gradually declining. Sex ratio, among Hindus it is around 939, 2011. Muslims it is better, 951. Christians it is even better. Among Sikhs it is a cause of concern, 903. And Sikhs are one of those most affluent communities as well, right? Among them, a poor sex ratio is definitely a cause of concern. Apart from that, literacy rate. Now here, you can observe that among Hindus, Muslims, the literacy rate tends to be low, among Sikhs also. And Muslims have very low literacy rate. If you look at the different socio-religious groups, right? For example, scheduled caste, scheduled tribes, if you compare that, so scheduled caste, scheduled tribes, they fare the worst in terms of literacy. The second worst community in terms of literacy rate is the Muslims, right? So scheduled caste, scheduled tribes, their literacy rate tends to be lowest, and the second lowest tends to be Muslims. So again, this is a cause of concern. Work participation. How many people are gainfully employed, right? So here among Muslims, among Sikhs, again, the work participation rate tends to be low. So what I wanted to show you here is, we have again different kinds of religious groups. And these religious groups, they fare differently in terms of different socioeconomic indicators. Here also you'll find so much amount of diversity. And if you study religions even more, you'll find that within Hindus, within Muslims, again you will have different kind of groupings. Right? There also there is this element of diversity. So it is kind of interesting that how much diversity that exists in the Indian context. How people adhere to so many different kinds of faiths, belief in the Indian context. One data or one map, one illustration that we had, data has been converted into a map. So this basically is a data at district level, right? So all these small points that you can see, right? Small areas that you can see, regions that you can see, these are all different districts in India. And what has been done here is, there is some form of color coding. So in which district, which religious group has a majority, right? So if you have this light pinkish kind of color, it shows that in this particular district, more than 50% of the population is Hindus. If it is dark blue in color, it implies that more than 50% of the population in this district are Muslims. If it is this pinkish color, I think it is pink. I don't know. I'm not very good at these colors. So if it is slightly this, I think it's baby pink or something, right? So if the color is baby pink for a district, it shows that more than 50% of the population are Christians. Green is Sikhs, and the light blue is Buddhists, and others is grey. So one thing that you can observe here is most of the part of the country, if you look at the district level data, the majority religion, right, is Hinduism. So very few places, maybe somewhere in one district in southern India, right, you have Muslims as the majority. In Lakshadweep Island, again, you will have some Muslims as majority. If you look at the northern parts of India, here you will find some variation. The Kashmir region, right, here you will find Muslims in majority. The Ladakh region, you will find Leh Ladakh region, you will find Buddhists in majority. In the Punjab region, many districts, Sikhs are in majority. Some of you might have thought that in Goa, the majority community is Christians, but that's also not true. It's Hindus here as well. Again, northeastern part of India, you will find some variations. Some places you will find more Christians. Some districts in Nagaland, some districts in Mizoram, some districts in Arunachal, some districts in Meghalaya, right? There you will find the majority religion is Christianity. And yeah, in some places Buddhists are also there. Some places you will also find Muslims, the dark blue color. So pan India level, this is how it looks like. So this is about religions.